Welcome to the first After Hours Pedagogy Series event of this year. We are very happy that you're all here. We're super excited to do this again. It was on hiatus last year. It's one of our favorite programs. Just really happy to have it back and to be able to share in this way the learning and innovation that our faculty do. So grateful that you're all here with us tonight. Al is not able to be with us, but he sends his best wishes, and he's really also happy that you guys are here. Tonight, we are thrilled to have Aimee Wodda here with us. Aimee earned her PhD in criminology, law, and justice in 2018 from the University of Illinois at Chicago. Aimee is a queer feminist criminologist and law and society scholar who explores the connections between gender, sexuality, and the law. Here at Pacific, she teaches courses such as Law and Society, Law, Society, and the American Dream, Technology and the Law, and Green Criminology. From my own work with Aimee, I can say that she's dedicated to humane and student-centered teaching. As you will see from the presentation she's going to share with us tonight, creating a liquid syllabus. Please welcome Aimee.
Hi, everybody. So rather than share slides with you, what I've just shared with you is actually a little website that I built for you. Thank you all for coming here. This is a work in progress. This is a new piece of innovative technology, I guess, to help with teaching that I discovered right around the time we all went remote during the pandemic. And one of my colleagues on Twitter shared that she was doing something called a liquid syllabus, and I was really intrigued by it. And the liquid syllabus was originally developed for purely online learning as a way to humanize those courses because most people learning remotely rarely, if ever, get to meet face to face. Is there an error message? Oh. Okay. Let's see, maybe I didn't share it with everybody. Okay, what I had done is I made the site available to people just through Pacific University. So I just updated that so anybody could see it. So this might be just that you're logging in a different way. So if you try the link again, maybe wait a second and then re-upload it, you should be able to get to that site. Okay, great. Yeah, so those of you who are logging in with your Pacific account, so you'll see, so this is kind of a really great example of some of the interesting things that can happen with the liquid syllabus. And so I'm going to walk you through the liquid syllabus, I guess, just as I would instead of slides. I'll kind of talk you through the process. I have a little video to show you that explains the reasoning behind it, and I'll show you some of my learning curve, and I'll talk a little bit about student feedback and my plans for the future. So
Aimee, when you share, if you'll just share the audio for when you play your video, we'll be able to hear that too.
Doing that now. Okay, so everybody's in the liquid syllabus right now. You can see that there. Perfect. So I have two things up here for you. One is I'm showing you my draft, and then this is the published site. So this is what I'll mainly show you, but I may go back to show you my draft, really just to show you how easy it is. I am not a website builder. I have used WordPress a bit, which is definitely harder to learn. But what I'm using now is a Google site, which we have access to through Pacific now. And it's pretty easy to learn, like actually very easy through trial and error. And honestly, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. I'm just doing it very intuitively, and it seems to work. So this is my recommendation for it. So so this is my Liquid Syllabus 101 that I have created for you. And I have a couple different pages. I tried to keep it simple for you. One of the things I've learned is that keeping it simple is best. I'll show you some of the first ones I did that were very fancy. And I got very excited, you'll notice, and I put lots of images and media in there, which on the one hand is great. On the other hand, it creates a bit of clutter. So you want to try to be as streamlined as possible. So some of the things I'll talk about today are why do a liquid syllabus, how, and then I have a resource page for you. So let's start by just talking about what a liquid syllabus is. So as you can see, I use the liquid syllabus as a website to supplement. I have a Moodle site for each of my courses. I post grades up there. I use the discussion boards on Moodle, and I link to this website on Moodle. So I don't and sometimes what I'll do is I'll post due dates on Moodle, but I don't use it a lot as I used to when I first came to Pacific. When we moved online, students were having a hard time no matter how well I thought the Moodle was organized. They were really struggling to find things on it. So when I switched to using this liquid syllabus, students gave me some really great feedback about ease of finding things. The other thing that students gave me feedback about is I didn't realize that students use their phones way more than we think that they do to access our syllabi, to access even Moodle. And they found that using their phones to access this liquid syllabus was super easy. And so that is another reason why it's great. I know that Moodle may have an app, but it's not as user-friendly as this. So here's a little video I'll play for you. This is Michelle Pacansky-Brock, and she's been working on this idea since I think 2014. And so she talks about this. And remember that a liquid syllabus really started out as being something for people who taught online courses only. And so now people are starting to kind of see how we can integrate these into courses that even take place face to face.
I know what you're thinking. I have a syllabus, and I've worked really hard on it. So why should I take the time to also create a liquid syllabus? And what does that mean anyway? After all, I already have my syllabus online in the form of a PDF, and I know all my students can access it in Canvas. But folks, the thing is, when your syllabus is behind a login screen, it may be tough for students to get to it from their phone. And no matter how lovely it looks on a computer, reading it on a mobile device is tough. The information in that syllabus is important, right? The bottom line is when we use tools designed for print products, they don't result in mobile-friendly experiences. And that's not good for our students. How might things change if you used a website tool like Google Sites or WordPress to create a liquid version of your syllabus? For just a moment, imagine being a student. It's the start of your first semester in college, and the week before class starts, you check your email and you get a friendly welcome message from your sociology instructor. It includes a button at the bottom to check the syllabus. You tap that button with your finger, and instantly you go to a syllabus that's easy to read and experience with the swipe of your finger. And you also discover something pretty special at the top.
Hi scholars, my name is Katie Whitman Conklin and I'm going to be your instructor this semester. A little bit about me, I lived in the Central Valley of California for a lot of years with my husband and children while he was stationed there with the Navy. And when he retired, we moved to northern Idaho, where we now live with our kids on a family ranch.
You think to yourself, hey, I'm going to love this class. I can't wait to get started. But you know what? That's not the only benefit of a liquid syllabus. Since it lives on the web, it's shareable with a simple link. That means you can place that link in as many other places as you'd like. How about adding it next to your course description in your college's class schedule, or on your profile page on your college website, or a link on your own professional website? And you know what can really help promote your course and encourage more students to enroll? That's right, share it on Twitter. When we design with web tools, we create mobile-friendly content that supports our students in so many ways. It also lets them know we care.
All right, so I think that video is great. When I watched it, I immediately remembered how many of my students said that they use their phones to access this website. So see, the website looks one way to us right now because we're looking at it, probably on your laptop or your PC. But if I preview it here, I can preview it to see what it looks like on a phone. And so as I'm creating the website, so as I was creating it for you, I knew that most people weren't going to be using it on their phones, but students will. And so it looks very different when we look at it in this way than when we look at it in this way. So I try to actually prioritize what it looks like on a phone, since that's how most students will be accessing it. And they can access the menu right here. And you can see they can even play the video from it. It won't actually play right now because it's in preview mode. But yeah, so this is just one of the kind of many benefits of having a liquid syllabus. Another benefit is that you can reuse the same liquid syllabus. So I do make a syllabus as a PDF, the one we all turn in at the beginning of the semester. I also make that, and then I just copy and paste into this website. And once a class is set, I can just change dates and things like that. So I have gotten great feedback from students. It helps me to feel like I'm staying organized as well. So here's some of the reasons why I create a liquid syllabus. These are some of the reasons that really convinced me. Moodle, whatever you want to say about it, it is not vibrant. You can embed videos, but I tried to use it in a similar way that I was using the liquid syllabi, and it didn't work. It was confusing for students. It is organized. There is a way to organize our LMS that it does feel organized. However, just there's something about the website format that just allows for a little bit more customization. We can't really customize our Moodle sites very much. And so that is something that kind of bothered me, since I tend to want to be a bit more creative in the way I'm presenting materials to students. It's super user friendly, as you could see from the way I just showed you what it looks like on a mobile phone. And the other thing is, since we now switched to having such access to Google Suites, you can link and embed content, and I'll show you some examples of that as well. So how do you do it? That's probably the question. So this is a resource, and Robbie can send you the link. I can send you the link. I would recommend bookmarking this for yourself. I'll keep it updated as more information comes out. Maybe, I'm not sure if this can be placed on the stable SETC page, and maybe they can make it more formal. But these are just some tips, tricks, and best practices. Again, I am not a skilled website designer, but these are just some things I've learned along the way. So there are a couple things, really just three, that matter. One is about design, the other is about organization, and then the other is integration. So when we think about design, I think about the famous Coco Chanel quote that before you leave the house, take off one item, one accessory, and that applies to your website as well. There's such a temptation. You'll see when I give you some examples of my former syllabi. There's a temptation to add all kinds of bells and whistles, but simplest is best. You're welcome to read this on your own, but I'm just going to kind of talk about the main points. Is consistency. There are a lot of design principles, and I think I'm going to actually spend next summer really looking into that. I don't know, as you heard from Robbie's intro, I'm a criminologist and law and society scholar. I'm not a graphic designer, but I have tried to kind of educate myself on this. And one thing that is more helpful for students is to be engaging, use really interesting visuals if you can. But you want to be consistent. So try to be consistent with your fonts. There may be some temptation to use a couple different fonts, across the pages. What I tend to use is one consistent font for headings and then another font for the body text. And there's a couple of great recommended ones. There are some that are more friendly to the mobile device user's eye. So sans serif fonts like the one I'm using here are much easier to read. And they also seem fresher for younger eyes. And then, using size. So increasing font size on titles is really important. You can bold things, using white space, and breaking content into smaller chunks. So you can create subpages. So here on the left-hand side under how, I've actually allowed, so you can click here or you can click above on the previous page, the how to get to these pages, but you can also hide these if you don't want your website menu to be too cluttered. So it really just depends on what your page looks like. As far as organization, it can be easier for students to locate materials. As you can see, I just have a couple, and you can even hide this. I just have a couple of areas here, and I'll show you some examples of my syllabi. So you can have drop-down menus, and you can also embed links. So here's an embedded link to a sample document. And this will link to just a Google document I made, just so you could see that. If you try to click on this and you are not signed into your Pacific account, one thing that's great is you can make this whole website public, which this is now, but only people who are you select to access Google Documents can actually click on that. You can link to other pages, or you can link to even other websites, which is pretty great. My Wi-Fi is a little slow, but and this is the website of the person who we just saw her video where she talks a lot about liquid syllabi. Something else that's really great with the liquid syllabus is the fact that, as I just said, you can seamlessly host documents that are integrated with Google Suites. So here are some examples. You can insert a slideshow that students can scroll, and they can scroll this on their phones. So if I show you this, this is the integration page. So if we go up here, so this is what it would look like on students' phones. Thanks for your patience. My Wi-Fi is not handling the website. Okay, so yeah, so you can see that they can actually access a lot of these things. They can click through this. I can't click through it now again because it's on preview mode, but you can see how they can access any documents. Students would have to download Google Drive, but a lot of them I find already have that on their phones. Like they're doing homework on their phones. They're using Google Drive to access Google Docs and writing papers on their phone. This is what they're doing. When you upload a slide like this, they can actually look through the slides right here. So this is the slideshow, the Google Slides that I used for my little presentation at the Pedagogy Speed Date last month, or maybe the month before. So if anybody was there, you may recognize this. I put that here for you. You can also have documents so that one I linked to earlier, you can actually embed it and students can scroll. So if I had more information here, you know, they can scroll several pages, and they do that on their phones or a tablet. Now, if you want them to have access to notes and other things in a slideshow, once you embed it, it just kind of looks like this, and they can't get to any notes that you have in the bottom. They can click through links here though, which is great. So if I click this, you know, you can actually get to a different website, which is awesome. But say you do want them to see notes at the bottom, you can just then insert it as a file. And so then they can get to that. And they can reach any notes that you have down there for them. I tend to put like resources in my slides and links to other things. So that can be really helpful if there's, you know, things that you want students to have. Okay. I may have too many tabs open, a common malady for me. Okay. So I have some resources for you. I just want to make sure I have plenty of time to answer questions. But here's some further reading for you. So this is Michelle Pepkansky-Brock talking about the liquid syllabus, and that includes the video I showed you earlier. This is really great. So if any of you are really excited about liquid syllabi and you want to learn more about it, there's a whole Canva course. I'm afraid to click on it now, less I'm still going to do it because my Wi-Fi is so slow, but we'll return to that if it loads up. But it's so excellent. It has modules that talk about the rationale, and it demonstrates how to build it using Google Sites, which is what I would recommend. So looks like Canva's loaded up so you can see. So she has creating a liquid syllabus. You watch this video, you start here, and it's got all these different like modules that you can click through. And if you click modules, you'll see how many there are. I think there's like 5. No, there's more, actually a lot. So there's why getting started, existing scholarship, does language matter? I haven't gone through this fully because honestly, I just have not had the time to do it. But this is just so great. And so I'm hoping to be able to go through this during winter break and really get a handle on, you know, some more finesse angles of this. This is a great piece too. It's called the Liquid Syllabus, an anti-racist teaching element, and it's a way to make your class more accessible and equitable for students. And then if you're new to using Google Sites, these are just a couple of explainers. And if you don't want to use Google Sites, say you're looking to use maybe a different website, these are other website hosts. And then here are some examples. So I'll show you just a couple. So in spring 2021 was the first time I tried to create a liquid syllabus, and I had 2 courses. One was criminal justice system, the other one was green criminology. And you may see from my green criminology class, it's very, I tried to make it very visually appealing. You can see I have some drop downs here. So I have all the weeks broken out. And this was great because we met on Tuesdays and Thursdays. On Tuesdays, I had a lecture discussion, and on Thursdays, students sort of ran the class. And so I was able to use this website to then add in materials because they selected what we would read or listen to or watch. Due dates here, our drive folder, and then assignments, which had all the details there. The issue with this course to me was that I think it's almost a little too busy. So I, when I was creating this, was really thinking that students would be looking at this on their laptops, not realizing that they would be probably using their phones. So it's a little busy. And this other course, same thing, basically the same principle of it. It has the weekly schedule, so they can click on any week. And it has what readings there are. There's a link to sort of reading notes and some recommended readings. You can even put reminders in there. I think this is fine, and students really appreciated it. But you know, there are things that I would do differently now that I know a little bit better. I see some things in the chat. Okay, cool. Let's see. Okay, so those are my first attempts. So I got very excited to do a better one this semester. but I'm not sure it was better because I got very into visuals over the summer. And so while I still have that drop down, when you click the main page, what I was hoping is to provide them an overview of what the semester would look like. And to me, this was great and exciting because you can see exactly what's happening. But I realized that it's like so busy. And on a phone, you can't really see much of this. So it's not terrible because students will still just click each week on the drop down, and I think that's where they're going. And I was able to just kind of use this in class to provide an overview. But you know, there's pluses and minuses to it, and I think that I would not do this in the future. This kind of very busy work here. So I'm still trying to figure out that. So from what I have learned, this is the kind of in progress website that I'm creating now for my spring class, Sex Positive Criminology. And one change I made is a student made a website that she sent to me. And I hadn't thought of putting the menu on the side. So the Liquid Syllabus 101 that I created for you, I put it on the side and I realized how much nicer that is on a phone. And it's just, it seems better to me somehow than having it at the top. And so for this one, I changed the course schedule to be in 3 weeks. So it's much less busy, much easier to handle on a phone. I can still put all the visuals that I love, obviously fewer, which kind of makes me a little sad, but you know, you can still click through. And again, this is a work in progress, but you know, so the other thing I realized is that it might be nice for them to have kind of a holistic way of looking at things. So what these are is just headings, and there's this little feature in Google Slides where you can create collapsible things, which I think is great. So when they log in, they'll just see kind of these headings, and then if they click, they'll be able to see what the readings are, which I haven't filled in yet. Yeah, so that's the Liquid Syllabus. I recommend it. As you can see, there's a bit of a learning curve. Students seem to go along with it as long as you, you know, if you're going to try to implement this in your classes, I would say, you know, start out simpler, maybe have a couple people look at it, send people the link. I usually would send myself the link, and my sister, who's third grade teacher, who's got a lot of experience with pedagogy, so she can look and, you know, help out, have other people see how it looks on their tablets and things. But yeah, I'm happy to take some questions and, you know, share whatever knowledge I have about this. I'm just excited to talk about this and see other people's Liquid Syllabus too. Oh, Jordan, this website looks great.
I think it's the same one that you put up, which is
Oh.
awesome. So yeah,
Perfect.
but I'm so inspired by this, and I had started looking into it last night, and I'm wondering, what is that tool called, or how do you get the side menu?
Yeah, so this is the one thing that is so easy about this. Now I have 50,000 tabs open. Let's close some of these. Okay, so when you're in, so this is the sort of editing menu, right? And what's so easy about it, so see, I have this banner up here, which I just kind of put it up as an example to announce this event. If you go to settings, so I can like remove the announcement banner. That's one thing. But the other thing is that I can, where is it even? It is somewhere.
Was it on navigation? There was something like side.
Oh yes, okay, yeah. So I have it on side. Yeah. So as you can see, right, like you can definitely create a Liquid Syllabus without knowing too much exactly about how, like I didn't even know this was a thing, just because the way that Google does things is very intuitive. So all it said here was top. So I didn't realize that that meant that I could change it. So at the top, you'll have the drop downs at the top, and then side, they just go to the side, and you don't even have to save it. It saves it for you. It's kind of fantastic in that way. And then you create your website. You can select who you want it to go to. There's a whole bunch of tutorials. And then when you want, the only thing that is kind of a thing I had to learn is that anytime you make a change, you just have to republish it. So right now I just accepted that change. So now you'll kind of see what happens there. But yeah, great question.
Thank you. I have a lot more clicking around to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's kind of trial and error. And as you can see, I'm still like, you know, floundering around on this a little bit. I mean, I feel pretty confident in knowing what to do. You know, messing around with technology doesn't scare me. If things don't work, I just try to make them work. But yeah, I mean, the Google Sites is pretty easy to at least get a couple pages up. So the learning curve is pretty low.
Thanks, Aimee. I think we have a question from Jennifer Antic in the chat. She's like, this is so great. I'm excited about working on mine. How do you handle links to copyrighted material?
So I think library people would know more about this than I do, but you can link to anything. You like, as long as I'm not hosting copyrighted material, you know, so you can link to literally anything. And this has a mode that you can like embed YouTube videos, and all it does is like host the embed code, and it actually somehow links to YouTube, so there's no violation there. So there's almost anything you can do, you know, use there. When I put images up, I usually do a Google search and use, I forget what it's called, Robbie, you know. I use images that are either available to use for
Creative Commons?
Yeah, Creative Commons, right. And then I try to, in some places, cite them. Sometimes they don't really need you to. Other times you can click through it and it'll go right to where the source is. So there's lots of different ways to handle that. And you can actually link to Unsplash too, yeah. Ooh.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so Jen Lantrip might know more about this than I do, but my understanding is that if you're linking or embedding, you're not technically using, you're not taking that source, you're linking to that original source. So I think that copyright is not an issue.
Yeah, you're
right.
just sending
as long as it lives on somebody else's site and you link into it, there is absolutely no copyright violation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the only thing just to add to that is that if you are linking to something that is pirated, then it's just kind of like unethical on your part to link to it. But you're like, by linking to it yourself, you're not doing anything wrong. It's just like you're not violating copyright by linking to it, but it's just like it's not ethical to link to something that's pirated. But does that make sense? But everything you guys said is,
yeah, it makes sense. But how many resources for education are pirated? Probably not very many. And oftentimes you can't distinguish if you link to a material if it's pirated itself. So you have to deep link to find out about it. So it's a great point. But I think for educational purposes, we're pretty much safe because not very much of the material is actually pirated for educational use.
Yeah, okay, so I see more questions. I'm gonna go up to, let's see. Mary has a question about students turning in assignments on Moodle. I have students use the discussion boards on Moodle. I have had them turn in things on Moodle. I'll just link to Moodle and grade them if I use that. So it's easy to just link. You just use the Moodle link. It's very pretty easy to do that. And then there's a question about restricting access to limited individuals. I'm not sure if you were here earlier, Mar, when one of the folks in this room couldn't get in. It's because I had limited it to only Pacific people. I opened this particular website up to the public, but you can absolutely restrict either your website or the slideshow to just Pacific folks. Or any documents. So any documents that you share will probably just be Pacific. So first, if somebody's trying to access it, even if your website is public and they're trying to access, say, your syllabus that you have is private for just Pacific people or students with particular emails, they won't be able to access. It'll say access not allowed on that screen. Although what's kind of annoying is that a lot of students, not annoying, but a lot of students don't log in through their Pacific email. So every semester I get requests from students' Gmail accounts to access that, and I just add them to it. Usually I try to keep the student websites private so that it's just, for Pacific folks. I don't know that there's any reason why anybody outside, as the video said, share your liquid syllabus on Twitter. I don't see myself doing that at any point, but I have no problem sharing, my website with students. Yes, and so on the website, the only thing that's available to any public, well, so this one I just made public because somebody needed it, but the liquid syllabus, I usually have it so that only people sign in with Pacific can use it, but anything on Moodle is restricted to Pacific students. Anything on Google Docs is restricted to Pacific students, or say a student with a Gmail address can get in there. But this usually has nothing to do with assignments. It's usually assignment sheets. All student work can be fully protected, even using this. So thank you for your question, Lisa, or your point.
So Amy, I'm wondering if you could talk about, like, I know that Pacansky Brock talks a lot about humanizing, and that's a word she uses a lot. I'm wondering if that was at all a consideration for you, or how this tool, the liquid syllabus, helps, if those are some of your goals or priorities for you, or just how, aside from helping students during the pandemic when they were trying to access things on their phones and they were really confused, beyond the current moment we're in, I'm just wondering how maybe this tool interfaces with some of your larger teaching priorities and principles.
Yeah, so there's not, I mean, I guess there is a space, but not really on Moodle to put some of the things I put in the liquid syllabus. So in the liquid syllabus, I put a picture of myself. I put a little paragraph about me, my academic interests, my personal interests. And there's not really a space for that kind of thing on Moodle. So, I mean, I think there are many nuanced things that you can do using a liquid syllabus that are humanizing, where you can humanize yourself as the instructor. But I think the other thing is that it was much easier to team up with students and have them lead the class and have them choose materials and really seamlessly just insert them into the website. And then, link students to those materials in a way that was difficult to do on Moodle, right? It's just difficult to point people specifically to things. If a student needs to find something, I can just send them the link to that page on the website. In 2 seconds, they have it. On Moodle, it's right, you have to talk somebody through it. You have to go through here and click here. It was a lot harder for me to provide tech support, whereas if a student needs to find information to anything, I can send them the links so easily. And just the feedback I've gotten, it's just so much a weight off their minds to be able to do that. So yeah. Is there anything I wish, I see a question in the chat. Is there anything I wish I had known when I started making these? Yes, many things. I wish I knew more about design. So one of the things I would like to do, I haven't done this because I know students are really overwhelmed with everything. I know my students in one class had to do 4 surveys this week. So they are really at their max, but I would love to get really more detailed student feedback about exactly how they use this website. Because I think there may be features that I'm putting in that I think are cool that they don't actually use. And there may be things that I think are easy to find that they find not so easy to find. So I think that those are kind of 2 things that I wish I had known. The other thing that I wish I had known is that when you're creating a Google site, if you move it into its own folder to try to organize your Google Drive, people can lose access to it. So I didn't realize that also. So there's just a lot of little kind of tech things. but it's kind of been a journey. Like I said, I started out really, I used Moodle kind of a little bit more thoroughly. I haven't been using it as much over the past semester. And I'm just trying to figure this process out. I'm very excited about it. I think that I can't wait till there are more people in our community so that I can start learning from you all how it's working in your classes. But yeah, I guess I just wish I had another person to ask how they're doing it, because for a while it was just me and these people I knew from Twitter, and I was able to see theirs, but it wasn't people who were at a small liberal arts college like I am. So yeah, I think that's what I wish I had a partner so we could kind of figure this out together.
I think you have a taker, as I can see in the
Oh,
chat.
cool. Jordan, please email me, and Katie.
So I just had a thought that as you were talking about the way you feel about using Moodle and the way you have felt about using sites. And of course, I have to say, there is a way to put a picture and a paragraph in Moodle. There's a whole block, this instructor block. But what it comes down to is what you're really comfortable with as an instructor, what feels like a tool that you're really at home in, so that it's not about trying to make the tool do a thing that feels like doesn't work with the way your energy flows. And where it sounds like, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like your experience with sites, that it just felt very natural for you in terms of a tool that you could do the thing that you wanted to do. It seemed intuitive to you. I'm just curious how much you would say like the tool you're using as a match to you in terms of, the person using the tool to sort of get at your teaching goals, especially for the Moodle versus sites or WordPress, or just, somebody else using Slack or whatever. How much your own, just how well you gel with the tool is a part of Liquid Syllabus. And the big challenge question, which you can pass if you want to, because I need to be nice to you because you're the guest and I'm the host, but do you think someone could make a Liquid Syllabus using Moodle?
Okay, that's a great question, Robbie. I'm so glad you asked it. I knew about the instructor thing, and I tried to make a Liquid Syllabus on Moodle, and that's what confused students in the fall. That's what frustrated me, is I did all of that. I made collapsible things. I listened to students were like, there's too much on here. It's make this. So I made it this way. And then they said, there's too much information when I go on there. I'm having a hard time. So then I collapsed it into 3-week chunks, and then they couldn't find it, right? So it was like, I redesigned my Moodle in fall 2020 5 times fully. And finally I took off all the pictures and I just had things. And you can look on the side and you can click. So it's very much like it. I honestly don't know what the difference was, but when I thought, heck, I'll make a Liquid Syllabus also, because that might be easier, and I was curious about what it was. And when I made that Liquid Syllabus, also what I find, I tend to be, if you don't know me, my MA is in English Lit, and my my bachelor's degree is in fiction writing, so I tend to come from like the creative side of things. And so I was having a hard time thinking through my syllabus for green criminology. This is a new course prep for me, and so the Liquid Syllabus actually helped me to like imagine what that course could be like, and so it just worked with my brain. So in the spring, that was really a companion. So I had everything on Moodle and also the Liquid Syllabus, and students were telling me they barely looked at Moodle anymore. They were just looking at the website. And one student was saying, it's so easy for me. I could just bookmark it. I could look at it in my phone. And they said usually they would have to re-download the PDF of the syllabus like 10 times over the semester. And they were like, I never had to. I just had everything right there. And so I'm glad for that question, because I've always used an LMS. I've used every one. I've used Blackboard, D2L, Canvas, I don't know, whatever, like you name it, I've used it, right? And for some, I've tried to, work with them all. And it wasn't until doing this Liquid Syllabus that I got student feedback where they were like excited to look at it, which was weird to me. And I have students asking me, can you make a resource page where you put other things that we can read and look at? So I don't think there's anything wrong with Moodle, and I tried to use it, but I don't know if it's because it's institutionalized, that there's something with students, and because this is just on their phones is like a website. I honestly, like I said, I would like to talk to students when they're not at their max to find out what it is about it that feels so different from Moodle.
Just to add to you, I mean, I understand that Moodle is not the optimal platform to maybe exhibit the most creativity. However, there is an option that is called book, that you can actually recreate the website in the book function that will mimic the site, because you can add any elements that you want. And you can also do the scroll on pages, just like on a website, to go from one page to another. And the other cool thing about it is that students can actually download the entire book if they choose to. So there are options in Moodle that are not really widely explored because they're kind of buried. So, but I think Moodle is completely capable of creating a liquid syllabus, just like on a website that you use in terms of Google Sites. But I'm biased because I love Moodle and I've used it extensively. So that's just my take.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
The mobile access.
I don't think
also...
there's any issue with Moodle at all. It's just that when I started making this liquid syllabus as an experiment, I had such great student feedback that, hang on one second.
No worries.
I had such.
You're doing great. I think it's a research opportunity. Like, why do students, how do they react differently? I think that's exciting to look into. So
yeah,
go ahead. You were just saying that you had really good experience with it, obviously, which is why we've asked you here and why you have such beautiful things to show us. So
and I think too, I mean,
fascinating.
I mean, as you were saying that it's particular to the person, I mean, I wouldn't have kept on doing it if students didn't give me the feedback that they did. So and maybe there's some way I could have designed the Moodle that they would have given me that great feedback too. So maybe I'll look into this book thing. But yeah.
I think there's something about being able to access it on the phone that I think maybe we're all learning after the pandemic, and some things we're reading say we didn't realize how much students were using their phones, and that definitely may be a situation that may be a factor playing into it. Does anybody else have questions for Aimee while we have her for a few more minutes here? Observations that you've made or questions that you have?
I have a question, and I don't know, Aimee, if you can speak to this from the feedback that you got from your students, but even with Moodle as the platform that multiple teachers use, they use it in different ways. So our students have shared some of the same, frustrations with it's hard to find the thing, and that different instructors have it set up differently. And so there's still, even though you're using the same platform, they're still having to figure out each instructor's style. Do you foresee, like, if they had one instructor who was using a liquid syllabus and everybody else was using Moodle, that there might be this confusion between going through two different types? Or you just feel like with sites, they kind of instinctively, or just kind of had more of an intuitive, easier time with it? I don't know if I'm wording that correctly.
Yeah. No, thanks, Mary. Yeah, I mean, I think the sites feels intuitive to them. As I said, I still, I put a link to the liquid syllabus on Moodle. And I also put their due dates on there, so it's not like there's nothing on Moodle. This is the first time I did that. Usually what I would do is populate Moodle as I would normally, and then put the website. And when I started getting student feedback that they were only using the website and not the Moodle, I thought, why am I doing the Moodle? Right. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could be confusing for them to have people using Moodle, although I have heard from students that some of their professors don't use Moodle at all. I know some folks didn't use it at all before the pandemic, and some only started using it during then. And probably that's another conversation that I would love to be part of. That's really rich because we all do things differently, and I think that we do that according to our nature. But it surprised me to learn that there were so many, I think that because technology changes so quickly, that it's hard to keep up with how students are accessing our classes, right? And so most of the students really access everything through their phones, and I didn't realize they were writing papers on their phones. I was asking them to turn in Word documents my first year, and some students wouldn't do that, and I realized because they don't have Word, they're just using Google Docs, right? And so then I started making it easier for them to turn in things as Google Docs. But so I guess that this is part of a conversation, right? And so there might be a time where the liquid syllabus isn't working and there's some other amazing thing that comes up. But yeah, so this is something that I've been kind of excited to use, since it does seem organized to students. It does seem easy for them to find, and they can still go to Moodle to find it if they haven't bookmarked it. So that seems okay. But I know one thing they do miss is I know some folks put due dates on Moodle, which I haven't done. And so, as you said, that there's all these different things. Yeah. I don't know if that answered your question. But...
Yes, it did. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So Aimee, what about students contributing to the Google Doc, which is more arguably and clearly a little more challenging in terms of Moodle, in that they don't have the same editorial access unless they're teachers. Have you done any projects with students where they were actually also actively editing those liquid syllabus, your liquid syllabi, or do you know of that as a practice, or is there anything you can talk about that?
I don't think I would have them edit the liquid syllabus, just because things could go astray. I definitely link to documents that they can edit, and those are protected. Only my students using their emails can get them. So. Yeah.
Okay, we have time for maybe one more question, 2 more minutes. Anybody have a last question, last comment, last request? So Caroline has a comment. Can you see the chat, Aimee?
Oh yeah, this is great. I would love to hear how that works for you. That's really cool.
Where the students create, in case someone else isn't looking at the chat,
Yeah.
where the students build the course together, and it works well, Caroline says. So
it's my favorite class to teach, and I will cheerfully talk to anybody about it anytime.
Okay,
awesome.
Yeah, I would love to talk to you about that. I would love to have students do that. There's some smaller classes I think I could do that. I have a class with almost 40 students where I worry about giving 40 students access. Who knows what page might disappear. I'm not like, I don't know how to get it back. I have a friend who's a digital historian, and she and her friends created a digital archive that one of her students actually accidentally deleted at the end of the semester. So that story stays in my head as I'm thinking about giving people access to things I've created. But I would love to do it. I think that would be great. I think collaborating with students is really wonderful. So
wonderful.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Aimee, for being here. Thanks everyone for coming. This was recorded, as you could probably tell by the recording flashing in the corner. And all registered participants, I'll send out a link to the recording if folks want to have a look at that. I'll also include the link to your liquid syllabus for the liquid syllabus presentation.
Cool.
So I just want to say if everybody could just join me in virtually applauding Aimee. Thanks again for being here with us.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you. And yeah, all the links that I talked about are in that liquid syllabus 101 that I made for you. So if you're looking for any of the resources, they're all there. And if you can't find anything, let me know, because that's probably an issue. All right. Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, Robbie.
Yes, Caroline.
When I went in to register, I couldn't because it had already closed. Can
Okay.
I get a copy of the recording?
Of course, I will add you and then mark you as present and then make sure that you get a copy of the recording. Yes.
Thank you, Aimee. This
Awesome.
was so great.
Thank you. It was good to meet you. I would
Thank
love
you.
to hear more about your collaborative piece.
You guys should definitely
Everybody.
be on the super team.
All of the
Like-
things you were naming have happened, though. I have had someone accidentally delete a website. I have had someone take it offline, like during class. It's still been worth it, but it has been a learning curve.
You got to have a backup. You really
Uh-huh.
got to have a backup for sure.
Yeah.
But
And
I'm in School of OT with Elisa. I think you know Elisa. Chef.
I think I know her. Or do you think Aimee knows her?
I think she's another UIC person.
Oh yes, Elisa Shep, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's
Ah.
great.
Thanks for all of this.
Yeah,
Well,
thank you for
awesome.
coming.
Have a good night,
Thanks,
y'all.
Caroline.
Take care.
Bye.